looking at the rookies in this week one, who's going to really step forward and really declare that it's their time, that they're here and they're going to put on a good performance? We have
Not Ricky Pearsall.
Not Ricky Pearsall. Which three rookies for you? You can go to start off with your first one. Which three rookies are going to say that?
I tried really hard to make sure that I picked three players that you weren't going to pick.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Okay.
So I think that leading his team in, I feel all of a sudden very, very strongly that I need to just Google and make sure that I didn't miss an injury or anything crazy, because there just hasn't been much about this guy. Let's see what the Twitterverse says. Okay. Looks like it's going to be okay. Looks like he's supposed to play. I'm a big fan of this team. I hope they do big things this year.
Okay.
And I think that Justin Herbert's new favorite target, Ladd McConkey, is going to have a huge breakout in week one. I think he's going to burst onto the scenes because there's nobody else on that team to burst onto the scenes.
Yeah.
So if they're going to be worth anything, then Ladd is going to have some exciting numbers to wow us with this year. So he's going to be my number one.
Yeah, I also went with a wide receiver. I put him in here, but I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to get this out on time. So I'm going to say it. I'm going to say that's who I'm picking. But just in case, I'm going to say one more too. I'm going to put Xavier Worthy. I'm not the biggest Xavier Worthy fan, but because of the speed and the target shares that are going to be available with Hollywood Brown being out, I feel like he's in prime position to have a good game. 47% of Xavier Worthy's routes in the preseason were go routes, and 29% of the target share he commanded while sharing the field with Patrick Mahomes in the preseason in the short period of time that they actually shared the field. So unless we don't get this out before the game actually starts up and gets going, my other pick, I mentioned a quarterback real quick. Jaden Daniels would be my pick to actually have a pretty successful week one going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have let up a lot of, the previous year they let up a lot of passing yards per game to the quarterbacks, and then it's about 35 to 40-ish rushing yards for the quarterback is what they're expected to give up this year per game. And with Jaden Daniels being a primary rushing quarterback, I think, again, he's going to be primed to have a pretty good start. Now, not the exact start I think other people are going to look at, guys who want quarterbacks to sit in the pocket and not really do much moving around. He's probably not going to have the most eye-popping numbers, but I think overall, with the rushing combined into it, I think he could have a pretty decent game against Tampa Bay specifically.
Do you want to know an eye-popping stat for a rookie wide receiver?
Okay, go ahead.
Speaking about Xavier Worthy, do you know that Tyreek Hill had 12 touchdowns as a rookie?
Damn.
He had 6 receiving touchdowns. He had 3 rushing touchdowns, and he had 3 return touchdowns. The reason why I bring up Tyreek Hill in this podcast is you just found the way that Andy Reid is going to make Xavier Worthy. We're going to gadget this guy to death. We've already seen the press coverage problems. They're all over social media.
Right.
You're just going to get the man the ball behind the line of scrimmage and send him on these go routes. And I honestly, does Xavier Worthy have more touchdowns this year than Travis Kelce? I would dabble in on that bet if I wasn't located in California currently. Because I think Travis Kelce is going to be wrapped up in bubble wrap this year. I hated him in fantasy because I did not think that he was going to have a huge year, because ultimately they could just roll this dude out for the playoffs and let him do what he does, and that is beat the 49ers in Super Bowls. So
I mean, his own words too just came out. He was just talking about he really sees himself with like 2 more good years left in him. Players are always like overestimate how many years they have left, or good years that they have left in the league. So we might be looking at a declining year, which I feel like we've been kind of keeping our eye on a little bit. I know he had some concerns last year with some injury stuff, and he didn't have the best start to the year. Ended it off a lot better, and obviously in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, he plays the crucial role that he's supposed to. But those other weapons around Patrick Mahomes this year, like Xavier Worthy, are definitely going to be massive. And then when Hollywood Brown actually comes back, we're going to see those guys be used a lot. Who's your number two? I did, just because I wasn't sure if Xavier Worthy, because not sure if we're going to get it out in time. So I kind of like packaged him. I cheated and I packaged them into like one pick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with our boy Latu. I think that he is going to have a massive, massive start to his season.
Mm-hmm.
I think that maybe there might be a little bit of a rookie wall maybe that he hits later in the season, especially, but the team he plays for, this is not an every down player for him in the beginning. Yep. This is just very put him in the prime spots to be successful and let him go crazy.
Absolutely.
And it wouldn't surprise me if with that defense that they have out there, he might have one of those weird 2 or 3 sack games, just because at some point it gets to the point where, yeah, he has all the hype and everything, but we gotta block the people that we know are legit and maybe leave Latu out on the single coverage island, and he may be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, definitely. I also have a defensive player on here. It's a different edge rusher. Latu is our guy, but I did end up going with Dallas Turner having a good week 1. They are facing the New York Giants. They have a bottom 5 offensive line in the league, and I think Dallas Turner, with the guys around him, guys like Jonathan Bernard, Andrew Van Ginkel, a couple other, Blake Cashman I really liked coming out of Houston, and Houston didn't resign him. I thought they should have. A couple of those linebackers are just kind of all around Dallas Turner in those situations. I think could kind of put him in prime position for like a sack and a half game in week 1 against the Giants. Again, not a very good offensive line. Other pass rushers in prime position to leave him open, hopefully. And I think that, again, he could have a pretty good game. Who's your third?
I put some money on this guy for they had a prop bet for NFL Rookie of the Year non-quarterback.
Okay.
And it's not an official award because obviously it's hard to, but they have a ranking system and everything. So I put a little bit of money on a certain tight end in Las Vegas, Mr. Brock Bowers, to just have a massive season this year, because from my standpoint, when there's smoke, there is fire, and there is a shit ton of smoke on Devontae Adams wanting to be traded or not wanting to be traded, or them talking about trading him or them not talking about trading him. And once Devontae's gone, I don't know what else Raiders got down there. And don't hit me with
Jacoby Myers, bro.
Yeah, Jacoby Myers. Yeah, you let Josh Jacobs walk and all this other stuff. So Brock Bowers, though, which is ultimately they got another tight end, a young tight end down there that's really, really good that they, drafted last year. And I think he's a serial killer, Michael Myers.
Right.
But I think that Brock Bowers is going to have a massive season. And I think if you notice, I picked one guy from the Chargers and one guy from the Raiders, and they're playing this Sunday. So I will be tuned into that to see if my predictions hold true.
I told you I cheated and I put 2 guys in one spot position. I did choose one more guy. And it's funny that you chose 2 guys from that game. I chose 2 guys from the Vikings-Giants game. And the other guy was on the other side of the ball. And that's Malik Neighbors. From weeks 11 to 18, the Minnesota Vikings allowed 101.2 quarterback rating and a 72.2 completion percentage. And the biggest grab for them this offseason in terms of defensive backs is a 33-year-old Stephon Gilmore. So that's going to be their starting corner, who really didn't get signed and didn't get in any camp until really late into this offseason. Neighbors is the number 1 wide receiver for the New York Giants. They don't have a defined running game. Don't talk to me about Devin Singletary, please. And the targets have to go somewhere. And Neighbors is the most talented guy in that group. Tight end, wide receiver, any type of weapon. He's going to be the most talented in that group. So I think he's going to have a pretty massive week 1. I think we're talking about at least over 100 receiving yards. And yes, I know that feels like I have to put some type of money on Daniel Jones, and I don't want to do it, but I'm just believing in Malik Neighbors himself.
Real quick, let me just ask you, Odell Beckham, his rookie season, I believe, was something like 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns. Is Malik Neighbors bursting onto the scene like that?
I think it can. I think the problem is so just to get the official stats up, because I'm pretty sure it could have been 12, but I think it may have been more. You might be right though. 13. It's 1305 for his rookie season, 12 touchdowns, and he did that in 12 games. Yeah, it's gonna be kind of tough to top that his rookie year, especially in 12 games. He can hit those numbers, but in 12 games, I don't know. I don't know, man.
It's crazy how overrated Odell Beckham has become with how good he was in the very big. People act like, oh, he just had the one catch. He had 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns his rookie year.
I mean, yeah, his first couple of years in the league, you're talking about 1305, 1450, 1367, and then he got injured. And then he had a good season, a decent season with the Giants after that, barely over 1,000. And then a good season with the Browns, barely over 1,000. And then 2020 to today, not much going on. But, just like you said, he's just
he was also
good.
He was also going to be the Super Bowl MVP for the Rams before he hurt himself. He was off to a fantastic start in that game. So, spoiler alert on that, though. Malik Neighbors is not scoring more than 12 touchdowns this year. He might get more than 1,300 yards, but he's not getting more than 12 touchdowns. Daniel Jones is not going to happen.
Yeah, if he had a different quarterback, maybe. But, I think I'm right there with you on that one.